You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
It's nuts. Trump backing down from his latest disaster raises red flags for Dem, based on an article by Nicole Charkey-Charmy. Trump's Strait of Hormuz routine is not strategy. It is ruled by reversal. Power, not confusion. Donald Trump backed off the plan to charge fees in the Strait of Hormuz, and Rep. Jason Crow's point was the essential one. This is not a single reversal. It is the governing style. The same White House that escalates, threatens, blocks, and then retreats is not exhibiting complexity. It is exercising power without discipline and calling the churn a policy. The people making the decision belongs to Trump and the administration around him. That matters because the usual media drift is to describe this kind of fiasco as if it happened to the country or as if it emerged from pressure and confusion. But the source is the decision-making itself, a military offensive in the region, a blockade plan, then a sudden pause after Gulf states offered to invest in the U.S. The leverage is not abstract. It is political, military, and financial, or as improvisation. Crow's sharper indictment is the one that should stick to getting into another Middle East war without a plan, gain, strategy, or allies. That is not an accident. It is a recurring Republican method. Start with force, substitute slogans for statecraft, and only later discover that reality does not obey the press conference. 6 months in, the bill is already over $100 billion, with service members dead and no credible account of what any of it was for. The toll booth logic. The Gulf nations' offer to invest in the U.S. is not a side note. It is the transaction at the center of the story. Trump's circle treats foreign policy like a market where coercion can be softened by capital inflows and public humiliation can be repackaged as deal-making. That is not diplomacy. It is rent-seeking with bombs nearby. The message to allies and adversaries alike is the same by access. Wait out the chaos and assume nothing announced today will survive tomorrow. Blame managed downward. The administration's most reliable trick is to turn deliberate harm into administrative fog. One day the strait is open, the next it is closed. One day there is a peace deal, the next day an MOU disappears. That is not instability from the outside. It is instability produced from the top and then laundered through the language of process. The cost lands on service members, regional civilians, and anyone forced to live under the consequences of a presidency that confuses motion with control. What this pattern reveals, Crow is right to call this an unmitigated disaster. But the larger point is broader than this one episode. Trumpism does not merely produce bad outcomes. It relies on them. It runs on spectacle, reversals, and the permanent suspension of accountability. When power is concentrated in the hands of a man who treats war, trade routes, and peace deals as interchangeable props, the result is not statecraft. It is imperial vandalism with a daily briefing. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Roar Story for today's article with the automated voice of Norman. Thanks for listening.